Texas Podcast Massacre contains spoilers and adult language. For more horror, visit us at our website at texaspodcastmassacre.com.
Welcome to another episode of Texas Podcast Massacre, coming to you from Houston, Texas. Halfway, kind of. I'm your host, Mitch, and with me, as always, is my mountain twin, Nate.
Don't rile up the devil.
That's solid advice for anyone, anywhere, really. Welcome to another episode of Texas Podcast Massacre, where each week we take a look at a different horror movie and debate a horror-related topic with our unsuspecting victim, who's usually not someone we would consider a horror fan. Although this case, that's different. We've been doing a lot of newer movies lately, Nate. And this is SummerStab. You've been having to endure a number of wrestling references, and we thought, look, we got to bring back good friend of the show, Kev Castle, to join us for Just Before Dawn. Kevin, welcome back to the show, man.
Oh, thanks for having me on, guys, man. It's good to be back with you. It's been quite a while, well over a year, right?
Yeah, it's been a bit. We've had between Nate moving off to Portland to try to chase down. You were talking Bigfoot before we started recording. I guess it was one. Really, I think he was trying to find what other cryptids are you looking at, Nate? I know there were a few of them.
I was just coming to film the sequel to this movie.
Oh, is that really?
Yeah, just scouting locations.
Yeah. Too many places are focused on the Appalachians. So I think this is good. This is a good mountain.
This movie was originally supposed to be it was supposed to be Tennessee Mountain Massacre.
Always the Appalachians, man.
I know, and I'm glad they changed it finally. So
yeah, well, Nate, you found a way to work through Oregon, work at Oregon reference in here, so we're looking forward to it. So we're doing this week's episode is 1981 classic, Just Before Dawn. I say classic. This is my first time actually watching this one, so I got to tell you, and I'm sure I sound great. I got a little sick last couple of days, dealing with some sinus stuff, and yesterday I had a fever, and that's when I watched the movie, and I don't know how much this movie the movie I saw or just a fever dream. So we will see. I'm curious to know if I'm remembering things that you are talking about.
I'll answer you just by saying yes.
Yes. Oh goodness. But you know what? I'm like Nate. We'll see if you get the reference. I'm like Stone Cold in the figure 4, blood dripping. I'm not quitting. I'm here. Still kind of sick, but we're going to do this because I couldn't miss out on hanging out with Kev. Kev, how have everything been going, man? I know you've got a few shows. You're feel like you're on like a different podcast every day. Besides your normal ones now, right?
I have a couple of 3 normal ones that I'm on weekly, but I haven't done a guest spot on a podcast in a while. Someone just asked me the other day, I was like, you stop doing that? I'm like, I think people stop asking me. No, there was a few people who've asked me, but I've been focusing more on, just been pretty busy. Honestly, the last time you spoke to me, I think I was maybe just getting back to work from the COVID lockdown. That was probably last time you talked to me, right? I was probably fresh back at the job at that point. Now, here we are 1 full year later. Things are going pretty good as far as the work front goes. Club's always busy. On the wrestling or the podcaster tip, me and Baseball Chicky are already 65 episodes in. Seems like yesterday I was just plugging that on your show that it was coming out.
Yeah, that's
awesome. Crazy.
Now we're 65 episodes in. That's fun. Like I said, she's a personal friend of 21 years. I know her since she's a teenager. Her brother used to play for me in a band, so I met her way back in the day, like 2000, and we've been consistent friends ever since. So. It's 2 friends having fun on a show talking about pop culture, and it's probably the most fun I've had in podcasting ever. And that's not like a shot at anybody. It's more fun than ever. It just is. You know what I mean? I think it's when you guys are real life friends, and you see each other, you hung out, you've gone out together. That's a different kind of bond than just being social media friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as far as and on the other tip with wrestling, which most people know me for, I'm official since last year, the third man of Wrestling Soup. So I am an official member of Wrestling Soup. I've been jumped in and hazed. Mission Joe had put me through the ringers. No, they've been very good to me. Yeah, I was always an offshoot. Don Tony Kevin Castle was always affiliated in a way, but I was never a member. And now I'm an official member. I'm on Wrestling Soup. It's not even called, Kevin on Wrestling Soup, and we do Wrestling Soup show every Tuesday. It's not to be confused with the other Wrestling Soup show with Joe and Mish, which is the flagship. I'd be kind of the show behind that, and justifiably so, because Joe's been there since day one. And despite my lineage in this game, I came in humble and gladly take my seat at the table wherever they sit me. Me, guys, I've always just wanted to be a good teammate. I don't need to be the leader or number one, or I don't have that kind of ego and stuff. I think that's what would fracture other relationships with me in podcasting, is other people wanted to be that, never wanted to be that. So I'm more than happy to be just a good teammate. And if I'm the veteran go-to guy to talk to, you know what I mean? I'll be a go-to guy than being the main focal point guy. And it's a lot more fun. It just is a lot more fun, less pressure on me, because I'm that guy in my real life job. So I don't need to be that guy in podcasting. I'll just be one of the guys.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's sometimes the best way, just hang out. That's always a lot more fun. I think I found you through Wrestling Soup first. It's been really cool hearing you with Mish. He's great. He's like he's been great for me. He was one of the people during COVID who got to talk me off a ledge a couple of times. So everything's come around full circle. I'm probably with the people I'm supposed to be with now, and at the job is a lot of changes for me, but changes for the better. You could probably even hear it. Everyone even says when they talk to me now than a couple of years ago, it's just I'm much more up, and that's it's true, and it absolutely takes a toll on your mental. When you dread doing something, there's no joy in it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I got to do a podcast. Now I'm like, can't wait to do the. Even now, I was excited to do that. I was trying to get this guy off the phone. I'm like, look, I got to go do a podcast. It's not even like it's some burden. I want to go do it because it's going to be fun. So I think I literally hung up on this guy because you've heard my phone ring and he was calling me back. I'm like, I put it on silent. But I'm having fun again. And again, if the enthusiasm comes across, it's totally legitimate if you're hearing it now. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna apologize first because you just described why Lisa's not on the podcast because.
Oh, for real? Oh, God.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, she isn't left. Yeah, she's just not on tonight.
She's dreading it. No, all the time. No, but I will say this, Kevin. This is funny because when Ray Liotta passed away, I was just like, you know what? I bet Kevin Castle has something to say about that on your podcast. So I listened to your podcast and you guys did a whole Ray Liotta thing.
We did.
I was just like, I don't know why when Ray Liotta passed away, I thought of you, but there you go. And it was a great episode too. So.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, again, it's weird to say enjoyable because it was kind of like a tribute to some person who died before their time. But, me and Chicky noticed that her real name's Carolyn, and noticed that, almost on Sunday or Monday, like before we recorded our show, there was always like a celebrity death, like back to back to back. The guy from The Sopranos, James Caan, now Paul Sorvino just passed away from Goodfellas. I'm like, yeah, not a good year for mob characters, huh?
Oh, no, yeah, really? Yeah. I hadn't made that full connection, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, they said, all guys who are mafia icons, Khan, Sorvino, Tony Sirico from The Sopranos, Paulie Walnuts, and, and obviously Ray Liotta, probably the most shocking because he was in his early 60s. The other guys, well, you're in your 80s, you had a good run. It's not tragic when you die in your 80s and 90s. It's a good, Finn Scully, a famous baseball announcer, just died yesterday.
94 or something.
Not yet, 94. I mean, God bless. I mean, I'm 54 and people hate that I do this, but I even say, listen, I hope to be 65. Oh, don't say that. I'm like, but the truth of the matter is, as you get older, anything could hit you, knock on wood. You could, do all the sit-ups and take Flintstones vitamins all you want, but things happen, you know what I mean? But so that's what I mean. If someone has a run into that, that's a damn good. We should all be so lucky, live to be 93. Right now, if someone said you live to be 93, I'd have a lot less worries right now. So Kevin, you're really 393. Don't worry about that pain in your back. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Oh, crazy. But So Kevin, before we get into the movie, I wanted to go over the other movies we did for SummerStab and see just quick takes on it. All right. So before this movie, it was the Triple H cameo movie, Blade Trinity, the third Blade movie. Did you happen to catch that one?
That's what Triple H said?
Yeah, Triple H.
Him and Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, that's
Ryan Reynolds, Jessica Biel, Triple H.
Well, it's funny. Ryan Reynolds bounced back from that. Jessica Biel, Triple H, not so much in the movies, huh? Ryan Reynolds seemed to be okay.
Ryan Reynolds, the Blade Trinity was his first action movie.
It was.
Off to the races.
That was, you guys might know, did he do Blade Trinity before he did the remake of Amityville Horror?
I think it was right before. Yeah.
Yeah, and that sucked, by the way, the remake of Amityville Horror. I think we all agreed on that.
It did. Yes.
I was like, Ryan Reynolds playing James Brolin, like a serious actor. Ryan Reynolds, Mr. college frat brother. It's funny. Ryan Reynolds is perfect for Deadpool because he's that snarky, comedic guy. I never really see him as a serious actor. And Blade, I was kind of done with Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes has never been a favorite of mine, just no particular reason. I'm just never been a fan of his. Even going back to White Man Can't Jump and the Woody Harrelson movies, Money Train, just never really connected to that dude. I just was never a big fan. I like the vampire concept, but Blade wasn't. The first Blade was okay. But after that, I lost interest, to be honest. I only watched the Blade with Triple H because Triple H was in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're channeling Mitch from last week.
Yeah,
would you guys call that a horror movie?
Not, it's more of an action movie.
That I had to sit through it. Yeah, that was pretty horrific. If I could steal a line from Lisa,
we also did the Black Phone with the link to the masks.
Yeah, that was the new
Tom Savini one.
Yeah, the new Ethan Hawke film, and the mask is. The same guys that made the Fiend mask, that crew made the mask that Ethan Hawke wears as the grabber. Had you heard or seen that one?
Everyone's telling me about Black Phone. I want to see it. Everyone's saying it's Academy Award winning acting job from Ethan Hawke. Would you say that? I mean, well, people are telling me. People are telling me that. His big comeback. But is it a comeback? Hasn't he been kind of fine in movies? Like he's not like a consistent bomber in movies, is he? I mean,
he's good. He's good. No. But yeah, I wouldn't say this somewhere. I mean, I think he's just as good in this as he was in
well, I mean,
Sinister,
from
right?
Sinister. If the standard for winning an Academy Award for acting is hitting people like it is now, then he's fine in Black Phone.
But it's a very good, kind of a Stephen King atmospheric type of film. Not super scary, but I mean, great character. It's a great character. And of course, that mask is just fantastic. And that really, the mask itself is such a character. And then with Ethan Hawke, someone that caliber actually behind it, that's really what kind of elevates it, right? But it was good. It was good.
And then we did first week was Predator, the original Predator, because Jesse the Body Ventura was in there. really scraping the barrel on wrestlers.
Well, because Prey's coming out too. That was the other tie-in. We got Prey coming out this week.
Yes.
So.
What is Prey? I'm probably
Prey is okay. So Prey is the Predator. It's a prequel to the original Predator. So this is the Predators shows up on Earth in the first time and is fighting, like going after Native
Americans.
Yeah, Native Americans,
400 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So and the reviews from screenings have been very positive. So I think it comes out on Hulu on Friday, but it's gotten some really good positive reviews. It's sort of like the first time the Predators interacted with humans versus like in the later films, it's always like, oh, they've been here a while. They keep coming back or whatever convoluted backstory they tried to shove in there.
Right. Yeah. No, I've never been that. Again, that's another franchise that wasn't really. I guess maybe I'm not an action movie guy. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not a big action movie guy. Even the Terminator. I've never actually sat through the entire Terminator, the first one.
Oh my God, I love Terminator.
And I mean, I'm a teenager in '84, and Terminator 2, I only wanted to see because my friend Ron Young, who's the singer for Little Caesar, he's the guy who was thrown through the window, the long-haired biker guy.
Yeah.
That's Ron, right? He's still a good shout out to Ron Young. He's a good still friend, and still doing his thing in the band. Short hair now, though. You wouldn't recognize him, but yeah, he's the guy who got thrown through the window. So that was like my whole thing. And after I saw, I'm like, oh, it's the beginning. But I stayed obviously for the rest of the movie, and it was a great movie, great soundtrack. You Could Be Mine, the big Guns N' Roses song and video from that. What's his name? That kid was supposed to be a big star, and it never really happened for him. What's the name of that kid who was in that movie? Oh God, what the hell was his name?
Ed
Furlong. Yeah, he was in
Edward something. Yeah.
He was in American History X. I thought like, oh, this kid's going to be a big star. Just kind of never happened for him. Whatever happened to Arnold Schwarzenegger? Did anything happen to him? I think he was the governor of California or something.
He's still jacked. He's got that going for him.
I do. I actually follow him on Instagram. He puts these like cutesy, health videos up for everybody. But yeah, I Terminator. Again, like these action thrillers, I guess you call them, never really my bag. Like, that's why anytime you have an obscure horror movie on, that's when you flash the bat single to come get me on the show.
Exactly.
It'll be like, Kev, we're talking about a burning remake. And I answer the call, But yeah, I guess, it's not that I shy away from the big blockbusters, but I've always, the sleeper hits or something that I deem as should have been. My whole thing with movies is just like my wrestlers. They should have been bigger. Should have been bigger stars. Should have been a bigger movie. Why hasn't everybody? And by the end of our review tonight, I will close it out with, why hasn't everybody seen Just Before Dawn?
All right.
That is one way. No. All right. Well, look, we're about to get in this movie, but before that, of course, let us know what movies you're looking forward to. Let us know your favorite sleeper hits. You can email us at texaspodcastmassacre@gmail.com, TXPodMassacre on Twitter, Texas Podcast Massacre everywhere else. Don't forget, leave us those voicemails, 346-246-3143. Yeah, we look
in the honor of that. Our buddy, a friend of the show, Nick, put out a tweet that I thought was great, saying that you gave Blade Trinity a worse score than Santa Jaws. So I just wanted to call that out.
I firmly stand by that.
Oh my God! Still,
Santa Jaws is great. The fact that I'm not gonna sit here and keep defending Santa Jaws. We all know it was a fantastic movie. Have you seen Santa Jaws? That could be a Kev special right there.
Yeah,
that is
Santa Claus.
Santa Jaws. It's a
it's a Christmas killer shark movie.
Santa Jaws.
No, don't go down. Don't.
Why are you going to deprive him of joy, Nate? Let him.
I still haven't seen the Bill Goldberg slasher horror film.
Now, Santa's Sleigh.
Okay. I haven't seen that.
That's actually.
I will say Santa's Sleigh is good, specifically for the opening. With Fran Drescher and a whole bunch of cameos, and that's all I want to say. If you haven't seen it,
and I believe James Caan was there also.
James Caan's in that one too. Yeah.
Yep.
So
there you go.
It's something else watching Goldberg. Do Goldberg things
like Chris Kattan, James Caan, and Fran Drescher all got murdered in the same room by Goldberg. So
dress as Santa.
That's if that doesn't get you out, get you to watch Santa's Sleigh, I don't know what will. But it's classic.
Oh. I think Kev's stunned speechless by all that. That was a lot for us to just throw at him.
As a combination of words you probably didn't think you were going to be hearing.
I'm always. Sometimes I'm literally at a loss for words.
Well, with that, let's get into this week's movie of the week, Just Before Dawn.
Run for your life. The nightmare has begun. It will find you in the hour when dream and reality merge. The last desperate moment of darkness.
All right, who is it?
Just before dawn. They were warned.
At least tell me where you're going, so that when you don't come back, I'll know how to fill out the report.
But they did not understand the warning.
What'd you say?
They came to the mountain for adventure and escape. What they found was a trial which only the strongest could survive. How could they know that beneath the awesome beauty of nature lay violence, danger, and death?
You see all the blood?
How could they know the heat of their bodies was the magnet that would draw the terror to them?
No more devils. No more nothing out there. Just God's little creature.
You saw them kids?
I see. Don't move like I see your kid.
A good mind to just let them have their due.
Just before dawn, they will cry out. Just before dawn, the demon lives.
What a trailer.
Yeah, did they spend a lot of their budget on getting a robot to narrate what was happening in the movie? Wow, that was incredible.
Can I do it? But they did not understand the warning.
What's that?
I kind of cringed on that one too.
Oh,
They didn't understand English. What does that mean? But they did not understand not go in the water.
Yeah, I don't. Wow, I might go down a point just for the trailer. Wow, I don't know. That's like mega impacting.
By the way, this was filmed in Oregon, correct?
Yeah. So yeah, I'll get into it. But I have it on Google Maps right now. How far away it is from me? It's pretty close.
Oh, dude, you got to do it. If you have the ability, you got to go.
Well,
this is why now on the list.
Nate, this is why you want me to come visit so bad. So you take me up to this.
Yes.
Are we?
See if we can find a rope bridge.
Oh my god! Yeah, the minute you try to get me over a rope bridge, I'm noping out. I'm just gonna leave. Yeah. So Nate, what was the elevator pitch for this film? Do you think?
Elevator pitch for this film was let's make Deliverance in Oregon.
Yeah. It was something about the late 70s, early 80s. There was a mutant problem, wasn't there? I mean, I feel like there's there's a 5-year stretch of horror films where it's like, if it's a mutant or some hillbilly in the mountain, that's what all of our horror films are going to be for a little while. Did something happen at this time? Was there something?
Well, and what's crazy is the director said that they hadn't seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Hills Have Eyes before.
Rewriting and I believe that.
Movie.
I believe that. Yeah. I saw there's a documentary for Just Both, like a making behind the scenes thing, and this definitely was more Deliverance influence. I believe that it's not anything copy of that, because obviously the size of the not going to give it away right now. The killers in this movie might resemble a certain Texas Chainsaw guy to a degree. If you're talking about mentally challenged killers, maybe, and heavy set killers. Other than that, they didn't have a lot in common with Leatherface. I've seen people compare it. I'm like, other than they're maybe, a little fundamentally challenged and they, are childlike. But honestly, guys, not for nothing, in the 70s and 80s, wasn't exactly like a sensitive culture. People, there were people like that who were depicted in movies as if you're an oddball, you could possibly be a murderer. You know what I mean? It wasn't that, especially if you were huge. If you were 300 pounds and 6'5", now you're a dangerous murderer. Now you're like a person that, kids should run from, almost like a Frankenstein effect. You know what I mean? So, and if they can't be accepted by society, I think the message was not a good message, that if you're, different, or you're challenged that way, or you're, obese and large and unattractive or unappealing, that you might as well just be a murderer. You know what I'm saying? If you can't be a baby face, be a heel. You know what I mean? But that's really what they depicted these guys. Because let's be honest, even when you, like I said, not spoilers, I guess, are out of the park here already. But when you look at these killers, they did have that in common with Leatherface. Challenged, possibly inbred, possibly abused. That was even the Hills Have Eyes. When you look at the characters there, look at the father, Papa Jupe, what he did to them. It's these downtrodden, challenged folks, physically and mentally. They're killers. That's the best way to make them a killer. But to me, you would find you'd be more sympathetic towards people, especially watching it today. You almost root for the killer. You know what I mean? When you're watching this movie today, I had no sympathy for any of these people in the camper. Zero. I didn't feel any sorrow for that one, except the ending, which was very unique. We said jumping ahead.
Yeah.
That was, we'll get to that. And that's what separates, by the way, that'll be what separates this film from others, is the climax.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, I was just remarking as I'm over here in my fevered pitch of just wondering what's real. Like, why are so many hillbillies? Was something going on at this time with the hillbillies? But I think that's probably as good of a reason as any, or good.
It's just like Tourist Trap. That's when that's when they started building more roads, and the roads came into the rural areas.
Let's be fair, Nate. If I see anyone with that many mannequins, there's already that person should. That is an appropriate message to run away from that person. Anyone with that number of mannequins, already run away.
And that movie, when you think about it, it was Carrie with mannequins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was
awesome.
Like a telekinesis kind of, it was hard to describe. And obviously Slauson, he wasn't any big giant guy. He was an average sized guy with a strange kind of look on his face and definitely an interesting voice. But other than that, he wasn't a sizable opponent for anybody. Any one of those guys probably could have took him on. But then when he got dressed up in the almost looked like Leatherface, if you guys remember what he looked like when he dressed up, that's what made him scary. But size-wise, unlike other killers depicted in the 70s, he wasn't a large guy. But even these two guys, when I watch this movie again, they talk about them, these massively obese giant twins. I'm like, actually, they look like the size of the guys that are at the bar I work at on a regular basis. They're not that big at all. So many 300-pounders around me on a weekly basis in security. I'm like, back then, though, they were sizable guys in the early 80s. Today, they'd be half of America.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Now, I will say I got to give my props to Chuck Connors. He did play professional baseball and basketball. In
he did. No, he didn't come. He was
skinny,
big,
but he was skinny. But he was skinny tall.
He was skinny, and he was an older man too. In that movie, he was in his 50s at that point, and But that's that's a whole other movie. But speaking of older actors and legendary actors, that kind of is a good segue. The great George Kennedy is in this movie.
Well, yeah. Let me get into the basics of the movie real fast. Yeah. We'll talk about George Kennedy slightly being in this movie. He is not there often.
Let me just say one more time. They did not understand the warning.
This dialogue was all just preamble for him being in the Naked Gun movies, I think, later. That must have been what it was, just based on the dialogue. All right. So Just Before Dawn came out November 1981. It had a budget of $1 million, no known box office, but it was a flop originally, then became a cult classic.
Yes.
As it got on home video, VHS, and I guess Betamax in the 80s, and it became a cult classic. Mm-hmm. Filmed on location in Silver Falls State Park, according to Google Maps, that is 70 minutes away from me. So
nice.
Added to the tour. I haven't gone that direction yet.
Get the family together and go, guys. We're going on Just Before Dawn tour. And then they look at you like, we got to get him some help.
They're already looking at it that way, Kev.
Oh, okay. You got nothing to lose, dude. You can look for Bigfoot and Just Before Dawn filming at the same time. That'd be great.
Oh yeah, I mean that's why only do one when you're there? But no, it was Silver Falls State Park, which is absolutely gorgeous, just based on the cinematography in this film. It has 10 waterfalls in it, and they showed a couple of them in this film, so it's supposed to be a very gorgeous place. I will be going there. It's added to the list, but it's a nice Oregon connection there. The director of the film is Jeff Lieberman. Yes. The film was originally the Tennessee Murder Massacre, and when Jeff Lieberman got it, he was attached as director. He saw that and he's like, I hate this, so he rewrote the entire movie from scratch, the entire screenplay from scratch, along with directing it, and we got this film, which seems like a huge improvement. He wrote and directed a variety of films. He wrote the movie Blade, not that Blade. The 1973 one, featuring just based on what I'm looking at, the guy who had the horse head put in his bed from Godfather. And he wrote the screenplay for Never Ending Story 3, which I did not know existed. So there you go. There's a third one. And apparently the third person in the cast list is Jack Black. So there you go, from 1994. Go check out that. Extremely not classic. And that's about it.
No, well, I know him.
and Squirm. I
was going to say that.
That's the last one.
Don't leave that out. Squirm was a hit, by the way, in 76. I saw it. I was 7 years old. My mom was on. My biggest fight I remember as a kid was my mom yelling at my dad for taking me, Draper, who was my brother John Draper. You know him on his own podcast. That's his podcast name. It's my younger brother John. He was like 5. I was 7 and my oldest brother was 9. And that movie scared the shit out of us. We had nightmares. We were in my parents' bed and my mother's like, "Oh, you can't." He's like, "It was PG. I don't know. It wasn't R.
It is rated PG.
It's PG. It was it was PG." He's like, "The boys can't." We didn't sleep for a week. I mean, seriously, it was more disgusting than scary, but as little kids, it was so grainy and dark and grindhouse, that movie. So, I knew of him from there. Again, I was such an astute kid when it came to directors. When I saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's the guy who did Squirm." My friend's like, "How do you know like this kind of trivial nonsense?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just saw the director's name, and it didn't mean that it was going to be good. I mean, that just kind of captured my interest." And then, of course, George Kennedy being in it for 7 minutes, I knew it was going to be a good movie.
Accurate. Yeah, no, Squirm. We got to do like a 70s, 70s animal thing, because there's just so many. Like, I'm thinking of like frogs. There's frogs. There were slugs. There was like orca.
You mentioned Grindhouse.
The Uninvited is another movie you guys got to do. Uninvited. You ever hear that one? That's a good one.
No.
The Uninvited.
I've heard of it, but I think it's used. I think there may be another one that's not the one.
It's probably. What's that? There's another one with Karen Black. There's a 70s movie that's really Burnt Offerings. You guys ever see that one? Burnt Offerings?
Yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah. That's very grindy 70s. Oh my God.
Yeah. That seems to be a theme of happening, because all of the animals get their due in the 70s, like all of them. Every animal gets a shot to be like the one that kids are afraid of as they grow up.
Oh yeah,
they all got a turn.
Devil Dog, Hound of Hell, the Doberman Pinscher. Devil Dog, Hound of Hell, the Jim Shepard. Yeah, That's another one. That's the girl from
that's a classic one.
Beverly Hills Housewife, Kim Richards, Kyle Richards' younger sister, who was an actress back then. She's on the Beverly Hills Housewives series. She was in that. She was a kid star in that Devil Dog, Hound of Hell. And that like I said, and again, that eerie, that's when the synth and piano was coming into effect in the 70s. So it's that kind of stuff is, to this day, again, the dialogue, the acting is kind of bad, but it's, it's definitely, if you're into that kind of culture, it's, there's some good watches, they're entertaining. Just Before Dawn probably could have fit in the late 70s, but the cinematography, let's just get that out of the way. That was great. That park is a beautiful park. I'm looking at actually shots of it in current day. But again, I think that would be fun if you do go there, dude, and see, like, especially the waterfall scene where they were all in the lake, and we'll get into some of the scenes where the guy literally had to hold his breath underwater and keep doing that scene where he puts his hand up and grabs a leg. It was, they were like literally in that thing. It wasn't any kind of sound stage,
And I can tell you from personal experience that water will never get warm.
Really?
That must have been freezing.
Look very murky. But I mean, a waterfall to me always looks kind of clean and pristine when I see a waterfall. Mm-hmm. But I've never actually been in a lake setting like that. I've been in beach and the ocean, but I've actually never been to too many lakes or natural waterfall. I've never really been to those environments.
Yeah. It's cold. I went to a lake. It was also high up by a mountain, but it was extremely cold, even when it was like 90 degrees out.
Oh yeah, no, I can imagine though. But again, the cinematography was great, and I think they did get credit for that. And some of the, the reviews weren't kind, but I think the cinematography was given props in even the negative reviews.
Oh yeah, there's very few horror movies where you're like, oh, you're not actually kind of like go there. So yeah,
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
I think it was
because there was no soundstage. I mean, everything was filmed in that park. So that was pretty. George Kennedy was literally on that horse. He was literally riding the horse in the woods.
Yeah.
So,
that's the nice part about movies that have low budgets, just generally, because there's movies now that, have to film a little bit more on location, things like that. Like when you film on the location, it becomes a character, it becomes part of it. It's really obvious that you are there. I do miss that a little bit in a lot of films with the CG and all that stuff, where it's a little less tactile. like where they're at, right? Like those people were literally walking over bushes. Like those bushes were there. They walked over them. You could see the effort, right? It looked very natural. But yeah, so George Kennedy is real fast, barely in this film. But you might remember him from his Academy Award winning term in Cool Hand Luke, Ed Hawken in the Naked Gun movies, which I think this movie really set him up for that. Like he wasn't a huge, I don't know how big of he was in Creepshow too, obviously on the horror side too. So he was obviously the draw of this movie. It's a classic, cheap movie thing. You get like Jim Brown to be in a movie for like 4 minutes or something, right? And like, hey, this movie's got Jim Brown, or
it's like the one with Tara Reid where she's only in it for like 3 minutes, but she's got the biggest like name.
I was trying to go back in the 70s, but yeah, sure, yeah. Tara Reid, same thing. Yeah.
We have listeners that have not made their way back to the 70s. Let's go.
And what we always say is Tara Reid is the George Kennedy of now. Is what we always say on the podcast.
I could tell you in the 70s, as a little kid growing up, and my aunts and uncles, like George Kennedy was kind of an action adventure guy to himself. George Kennedy was considered a leading man for the disaster picture. He was the lead in Airport 75, which is about airplane crashes and airport takeovers by terrorists. He was also in Airport 77. Airport 75 was so successul, they made an Airport 77. But he was also in Earthquake, which was a big disaster picture.
That's the one I like.
Did you guys see Earthquake? Very good film.
I have seen Earthquake, yes.
Great film. And he's always the cop, or he's always one of the guys trying to resolve or find people who are missing. So he was known as this disaster picture leading man. Airport, Earthquake, Airport 77. But yeah, his Airport 79. But he wasn't really in too many horror pictures. He was in some bullshit horror movie called Death Ship in the late 70s. They actually remade that as Ghost Ship many years later. You guys probably remember Ghost Ship.
We were just talking about that earlier.
Oh,
we were talking about it earlier today.
Did you know that it was a remake?
I did not know it was a remake. Yeah. No.
I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So they got him. He was on the kind of tail end. And to be honest with you, just before dawn, I think he worked for Scale, and I think he got lucky. His friendship with Leslie Nielsen is what got him into the Naked Gun series, and it was kind of like a sign of life for him. Closing in on 60. So he was kind of winding down as a movie star, kind of down and out, and he got picked up for that. So I think he took just for dawn, definitely for the paycheck. I think he actually said it in an interview one time that he did this horror picture. It was terrible. They always downplay it if it gets bad reviews, but George Kennedy, yes, they did use the lore of a big name who was only in it. I think the screen time was actually 9 minutes or 10 minutes. For him altogether, I think it was, and I'm not even sure what role that was. Was he the sheriff? Was he the forest?
No, he was a ranger. He was the ranger.
Forest ranger. Okay.
Wait,
was it obvious? Absolutely not.
No, it wasn't obvious.
But here's my thing: like, I don't get it. Man, if I was getting paid to just ride on a horse throughout this movie and not have anything to do with the plot or anything, why wouldn't I? Why would I even complain about the film? Like, oh, you should see this movie I'm in. I'm riding a horse
all expenses paid. You get all expenses paid vacation to Oregon and Portland. What's no big deal about that? That sounds great.
Oh, I'd brag on that.
George Kennedy. Two things. One, I watched Earthquake and Avalanche back to back for a 70s disaster themed movie night, which was hilariously bad. And then two, if you want to get some Naked Gun action, watch Just Before Dawn, this movie, George Kennedy, and watch Day of the Animals featuring Leslie Nielsen. You can do another double feature. Two great double features
very good stuff.
70s, 80s movies. We also got Mike Kellen in this one. And you've been doing the podcast way too long and watching too many horror movies. When I saw this guy in the first second of the movie, and I go, "Oh, you mean Mel, the camp counselor from Sleepaway Camp, who tries to hook up one of the girls, and she gets murdered and knocks out the main character boy?" Mm-hmm. Yes, that's the same person. So if you watch this movie, your eyes aren't deceiving you. That is Mel, the camp counselor from Sleepaway Camp, or the camp owner. Okay. I guess he's not the counselor; he's the owner. So he was supposed to hook up with one of the girls who then got murdered. And he was just waiting for her creepily because he was clearly in his like 40s or 50s. So he did Just Before Dawn. He did Sleepaway Camp, and then passed away. So these are two of the last movies this guy ever did. There you go. Ending on a down note there. He's also in Neil Diamond's Jazz Singer. If that
Jazz Singer was good. I saw that.
And then prolific character actor and previous episode mayor of the movie Slither is Craig Henry. You see him here in this movie being very, this is early in his career. You might remember him from such classics as Scandal. That's right. He was in Scandal. Yes. And I unfortunately watched a decent amount of that with my wife. I do remember him there. He was in the Belko Experiment as the voice. So that's a nice horror tie-in. He was another Lollipop Chainsaw reference, Mitch. He was the dad in Lollipop Chainsaw, the video game. He's just a character actor who's basically been in every show. Has that show been on USA? He's on that show. That's basically the way you need to learn this. Was he on Burn Notice? Yes. Was he on just all the USA shows? Go down. Was he in Psych? Probably all those ones.
There's one
Gilmore
question.
Girls.
I got one question about him though.
Yeah.
Did he understand the warning?
He did not.
None of them did.
He did not understand.
Dude, if you ever go out there, you got to get the family to go, listen, you must understand the warning. You got to do that. And you got to videotape it and send it to us. You got to do a line from Just Before Dawn. But the only other guy I recognized in that film was Chris Lemmon, Jack Lemmon's son.
Yeah.
That's really the only guy I, because I researched too, clicked on, seen some of the, what they've done in the past and stuff. But Chris Lemmon is really the only name outside of George. Ralph Seymour is another one, but they don't really have a whole resume on him. He's a guy who's been in some movies here and there, character actor, but there wasn't even like a resume for him online. But Chris Lemmon was the only guy I recognized. So I've seen Chris Lemmon in a couple other movies besides that over the years. But he never got as famous as Jack, obviously, his dad.
Yeah, obviously. But he's in Mitch's favorite movie, Wishmaster. So there you go.
He was in Cannonball Run, Uncommon Valor, seems like old times.
He was in Nate's favorite franchise, Thunder in Paradise and Thunder in Paradise 2.
That's
with
right.
Hulk Hogan.
He played. Chris Lemmon was Hogan's sidekick in that movie.
That's right.
That TV show. Right. You're right. I forgot about that.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. He was also in Thunder in Paradise 3 and something called Thunder in Paradise Interactive, which I guess is a video game.
Interactive. Wow. I don't know what that means.
He was also in the Happy Hooker Goes to Hollywood.
Ooh.
It's good with 1980.
Yeah,
Happy Hooker.
Better than being sad. So that's it. And then, this movie, so when it was rewritten, Jeff Lieberman was obviously Deliverance was a huge influence in this as it was rewritten. Yeah. Originally a lot more religious theming for the reason why the killings are occurring and a little bit closer to Hills Have Eyes, and that the family was in on it. And then that was obviously changed for this one. They're kind of in on it. They know, but they don't know. I don't know. They're kind of worthless. Just generally, but that, and then, Brad Fidel, who Mitch pointed out is the keyboardist for Hall & Notes, doing the musical score, including integrating the whistling into the score.
Great.
Really, really good stuff. So cinematography and the score, I think are top notch, and we'll get into the rest. But so Kevin, clearly you're a huge fan of this movie. So what were some of the things that stood out to you on this one? Obviously a lot of slasher movies in this time period. What makes this one stick out for you?
Even the beginning of it, I remember when, again, that eerie synth rock music and the like the whistle, which you will kind of, when you first hear it and you hear it a little bit in the beginning of the movie, you're kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool. But then you realize it's part of the way the killers communicate with the whistle, out in the wilderness there. It was a communication thing. I keep saying killers, we'll get to that point, because even in the beginning, I didn't realize what was going on there either. I remember seeing it as a young kid in 1981, I guess 82, by the time it was on HBO. I guess it was 82. I was in the 8th grade. Watching at a friend's house. I didn't have cable till like 84 in my area. So used to watch all those horror films and everything that was released early on HBO back then. But I didn't know, what was to come with that movie. So initially I just remember seeing every time someone was in a precarious situation, some very large man, again, and by today's standard, not that large back then. Oh my God. Like the guy looked like, huge, but it was about a 300-pound, maybe 6'2", 6'3" guy. wearing what looked like a life jacket or a life preserver, a wool hat in the middle of summer, and like making a breathy, almost like he had a breathing problem sound, if you guys remember. Like, like, I'm like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, don't do that again. I didn't like that.
I was like, what the fuck is?
Yeah, don't make that noise again.
Or when he went after them, then he would make an evil, like a hey, like almost like a witchy kind of laugh, like a witch. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? So right off the bat, you're kind of like, oh, it's a crazy hillbilly bumpkin, backwoods person. But back then there wasn't that narrative back then. Like we weren't like, oh, another, like, when Wrong Turn came out 20 years later, oh, another backwoods hillbilly Klan movie. No one really talked like that. All we just figured out is, oh, some crazy guy who lives in the woods or, got abandoned in the woods by his parents and lived off the land. So that wasn't what it was. That wasn't the jargon back then. We didn't talk like that till about 20 years later about these backwoods movies. That was more 90s thing. But again, one thing I did notice was, boy, this killer is in a lot of places near the same time. You know what I mean? Like, in other words, how did he get from the waterfall to that, that church, that abandoned church, which is on the other side? And how did he get to the camp? And how was he watching the girl from around the tree? So things were starting to get weird. I'm like, how fast could this 350-pound guy be? You know what I mean? So that's where, again, spoilers, folks who are listening to this. For God's sakes, the movie's 40 years old.
Right. I think you're good.
Yeah. But again, he's around the tree. He's watching the girl get dressed. Then he's at the church. Then he's looking from a top. Now, maybe skipping ahead a little bit. That's what I liked, is when, oh, wait a minute. Is there two of them? During that church scene with the guy who I guess was the caretaker or something, who was initially in there, but then one of the cabin guys went in there and got stabbed, and then looked out looked above. There's a guy there, and then runs into a knife from somebody else. Or I just thought it was, again, I didn't have the maturity or growth to figure out that, oh, it's like Hill House Have Eyes. It's like a clan. It's like a bunch of people. I didn't know what I was seeing. I didn't know if there were two killers or the guy jumped down from the roof and stabbed him. But again, he's such a big lumbering guy. How could he be so quick on his feet? So the way that you weren't sure how the killer was getting there so quick, and is there twins? And can I say it now that that's the spoiler?
Yeah. I was gonna say, Kev, you benefited from not having this movie with subtitles, because I had subtitles on, and they literally says mountain twin breathing. I'm like, oh, it's a twin. It says on the subtitles. So first like 5 minutes of the movie, I'm like, oh, so there's a two of them. All right, that's cool.
Okay. Oh, that's how you. That's
so
how you
maybe be careful if you're like me and like if you're like me and like subtitles, maybe don't.
I almost always watch movies with subtitles, and did not for this one. I cannot believe that I didn't watch it.
Oh yeah, no, I had it. There was in the
come
hotel.
On, subtitle.
I was
people.
in the hotel room, and I was like, let me just put on subtitles. And I'll let it. Yeah, first thing, mountain twin breathing. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's a twin then. Cool.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a twist. There's two of them. Which is interesting. They have, the location is great and different. Pacific Northwest, going up a mountain. Usually they're at a campsite by a lake, right? Just generally, there's obviously a lot of campsite ones. This one takes it more into the wilderness, which I appreciate, right? Mm-hmm. Normally it's everyone together, easy setups for filming, easy setups for, kills and separating people. This one, they took it deeper into the actual camping, which I appreciated. There's not as many movies like that. And then, with the soundtrack and stuff. Now, I will say this. This is kind of underrated, but this is one of the best, final girl characters ever, really, in the back third of the movie. This character, Constance, is just a straight badass. At the end of this one, which is not necessarily what you would have expected in the first 2/3 of the film. When shit starts to get real, they really lean into her being a very relatable, quasi-realistic, other than that kill. It's a little interesting. Like badass heroine at the end. which kind of came out of nowhere. And I loved that part of it too, specifically. That part was just awesome. Her going beast mode at the end.
Yeah, sorry. No, I wanted to jump on that because what I really like too is like they had this really cool like character setup with her too, where like they get scared at that one point, and she's the one that's like, oh, I'm the climber, I'm the mountain, like I'm the outdoors person. But she doesn't spring into action, right? Her friend is the one that grabs a knife and is like, I'm going to start shanking people. Come on out.
Yeah.
And so they had that moment of doubt where she's like, I thought that was an interesting little thing. She's trying to make sure that she's not like, we don't see her already as this like tough badass. That she kind of is forced into that a little bit. I thought that was
just a friendly PSA for everyone, everywhere, for all time. Never scare people at a campsite. That's just bad. That's a boy who cried wolf situation just waiting to happen. You don't want people to be thinking you're scaring someone when you hear a bunch of loud sounds near you at a campsite. Like that's just a bad idea, just generally. So let's just retire that. Mitch, you and I have been camping numerous times together.
Oh, you guys have gone camping. I've never gone camping. I thought it was kind of cool when Rob Lowe, the actor, told the story how when his kids were small, he got a Bigfoot suit on and scared the shit out of them. That was pretty great that he dressed up like Bigfoot.
Nate will be doing that with his kids soon. So
yeah, you got enough to worry about out there. You got enough to worry about there with bears and actual wild animals. That's the last thing you need is serial, like backwoods killers. I mean, but that isn't that the part of kind of the campfire tales, as they say, and isn't that part of the lore of camping, like kind of being a little bit kind of fucking with each other out there in the wilderness? I mean, not to dangerous degrees, but kind of freaking each other out, especially at night.
Nate wouldn't know. Nate gets drunk and starts scream rapping Eminem lyrics at all of us around the campfire. So he may not be the most reliable narrator when it comes to that.
You were right there. You were right there.
I was, Nate. I was. I will say
when my wife's family goes camping, like it's like usually an area with like a lot of bears. We're like hanging our food up out of trees just so the bears don't come, things like that. I don't want to play around with that stuff. I will loudly scream. I will loudly scream rap things. No problem.
I will,
because then the animals will go away. There's no scaring involved there. It's just like, hey, is this person rapping 99 Problems really worth my time? No.
So you're assuming Bigfoot would not like to hear Regulate? Or something
no.
You don't think that was
not Nate scream rapping it? No. And I really want to emphasize the scream in the scream rapping. It is a loud yelling of those lyrics.
One of those Jack Link's Bigfoots who comes out and assaults Nate.
That seems more likely, but not really that scary. Just very, very shocking. So anyway, don't scare people, because then the next time something bad happens, you're all screwed.
I will say too,
just don't do that.
Also, just this is PSAs for camping. When we camp, one of my first trips with Nate and some of our friends, we went on this canoe trip in East Texas. We were setting up camp, and then these like two East Texas guys were like floating down a canoe and just like staring us down, and didn't really like say anything. Like if you're gonna pass by people, maybe just wave.
I said something. Under my breath. I go, yeah,
and then
that's what I said under my breath.
And then one of you dumbasses left like the wood hatchet out in the open. Like, make it easy. We deserve to die, is what I remember going to bed thinking.
Yeah. If it was these twins, oh yeah, absolutely, that'd have been over. Yeah, it's just bad.
So Kevin, I mean, look, I'm not an outdoorsman. You're not missing much from the camping experience.
No, of course you are. Come on.
Well, once again, we've got Kevin speechless. That's two in one show. We did it.
I just did not understand the warning. I just don't think you guys.
Well, that's fair. You can't possibly understand the warning.
Maybe give a better warning. Isn't that your job as a ranger to like specifically call out the threats that are happening? Very vague.
Why couldn't George Kennedy? Was very he was dancing around what to tell them. You don't want to be up there. You don't want to be up there at night. Some people go up there, they don't come back. Well, specify what you're talking about.
Say, hey, last week these people didn't come home. Don't go up there. I'll turn around. Sounds good.
There's two 350-pound twins who are, not too bright. Think killing somebody is fun and games. don't go there. I mean, the one thing I'll say I was pretty impressed is one of the guy actually, did you see it? And you have to play it back because you'll miss it if you blink. One of those big boys jumped on the back of the RV as it was moving from a tree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad for a big guy.
My only problem with that is that in the next scene you see them walking out the RV and their friends are like on this hill that would literally put their eyes level with the top of the RV. I was like, how did they miss this big 300-pound dude on top of their like?
It shook the car. They're like, yeah, we're on a mountain.
Like if Andre the Giant is jumping on your shit, I think you're gonna know, right?
It is one of those things that, again, I remember seeing it and I'm like, oh shit, like, did that play that back? Like, I remember we had it on the VHS. I'm like, oh shit, the guy jumped on the back of the van. Because if you do blink for a second, you will miss it and not see that. That's how quick it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was good. There was, the movie did get a little slow in some spots. I will say that they kept a little. They were throwing stuff like the RV jump. A couple of little things here and there to try to keep it interesting. Did you guys care at all about the interpersonal relationships of these people?
No,
I'm going to say absolutely zero.
We'll talk about her in a second. The one blonde who was a survivor. Spoiler alert again.
Constance.
Christopher Lemon, all the other guy that I mentioned before, Ralph Seymour, the photographer guy. I didn't feel bad. I wasn't connected. I wasn't like with other, like I said, the Burning, even Friday the 13th with like Amy Steele in part 2. I was really rooting for her. I wanted her to survive. I wanted her to beat Jason. I can definitely name slasher films where I was invested in the survivor. Heather Langenkamp from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
For an example, everybody likes her. She became like a box office sweetheart to a lot of people. But in this film, no. Again, I'll give props to the woman, and we'll talk about the originality of the kill. But no, other than that, they were just cannon fodder, in my opinion.
Yeah, they really waited too late in the film, like for you to like care about anybody.
Yeah,
It took way too long. There were too many. They could have cut. I mean, this movie could have been just like go to like Oregon.gov, watch a PSA about Silver Falls State Park.
George Kennedy on a horse. Yeah.
And then George Kennedy on a horse comes in, and then you show like the 9 minutes he's in the movie, and then like another 15 minutes of the kills, and you could have had 2 separate movies that were more succinct.
The one thing I'll say, matter of fact, I was that sniveling guy who ended up being such a coward in the end and basically on his knees crying while the girls fighting for their lives. The one who got, was on the, I think, was he crying? I think he was crying, wasn't he?
I think he got stabbed. I don't know if he's...
he got stabbed, but
sorry, most, I don't know why I let that hard.
No, he was stabbed, but he wasn't. I don't think he was mortally wounded. I think let's be honest, we've seen people like literally without an arm still fight for their life.
True. Yeah,
he was like, he was acting like the heroine. To be honest with you, that guy, the blonde.
Well,
guy.
no, I mean it was just he came in all cocky, and then at the end he's just absolutely just like. Yeah, you came in cocky and look what happened. You got laid low. She came in kind of demure, and then she became like, "Yeah, I saved your life," and she fought like hell. Yeah.
We mentioned it before. She was Linda Hamilton Terminator before Linda Hamilton.
Yeah.
I will say
Linda Armilton. I don't know. I'm trying to Handleton.
Oh,
there you go.
Good. I will say I did appreciate a little bit of his being upset about his best friend sort of dying and him finding it and actually like taking that moment to actually like be upset. Oftentimes they're like, oh no, my friend of 20 years is dead. And they're just running, right? Like,
yeah, no, that was good. That was a nice beat. Yeah,
it was a nice beat. Yeah. Even though it also meant that like there's 2 bodies we just didn't even find.
Yeah. So I want to, before we get to the end, which is awesome. Like the kills in this are, so there's stabbed in the junk by
there's boot to the
stabbed
face.
Stabbed in the junk by a machete. Not great.
No.
There's
less than ideal.
Cutting a rope bridge so someone falls in the water. They can't swim, so they climb up the rope bridge, and then you kick them off again into the water. I mean, that's brutal. And then there's a classic like stabbed in the stomach, stabbed off screen. I think the girl was stabbed off screen. And then there was what happened to George Kennedy at the end of this film? You have no clue. You have no clue what happened to him. Like, where is he?
No.
What happened to the horse? You have nothing.
What happened to the horse? I think we're all upset about the horse.
Yeah. What happened to the horse? He shot one of the twins, and the other twin dies from Connie.
By the way,
working.
By the by, George Kennedy did not look comfortable on that horse.
No.
George Kennedy didn't look comfortable just standing still in this one. I don't know what was going on. He's like, I'm just here. Just give me my check. I don't care. Clearly not enough to make his dialogue sound anything like he was trying.
But by the way, I got a intel on how much George Kennedy was paid for that movie.
Oh, yeah. What we looking at?
$10,000.
$20,000.
Oh, 20,000. Yep. Pretty close.
$20,000. Not bad, right?
For 1981?
19, technically 1980, film 1980.
For 9 minutes on being uncomfortable with a horse? Hell yeah.
What would you say? What would you say that, guys, that would be today? $50,000?
More than that.
Really? Would it go? Yeah. Would it triple? You think?
Well, I mean, it went up. That's 9% this year.
That's true.
Go back to there.
I guess. Yeah, I think you can absolutely get an actor from yesteryear to do a cameo of $50,000 today. Sure, absolutely. That's not a bad piece of change, though.
No. Yeah. So I mean, there's that. But to be fair, they did do 14 to 15-hour days.
Wow.
On this one. So they're on. I mean, to be fair, where else are you going to go now? During this movie, Mount St. Helens erupted, and there was a small earthquake while they were getting things set up in the morning to film. So there's that. So maybe there's a little bit of hazard pay in that 10K. Maybe that was part of it. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, clearly filmed outdoors. Probably not the accommodations George Kennedy was used to. So maybe here in that 10K. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, so I guess we got to get into the end. So twins, one of them is a good photographer, apparently. Sorry. Yeah. And the twins, and then one of them is a good photographer. Yeah. One of them gets shot by George Kennedy. The other one's there. Now stabs. I mean, was it even that bad of a stab? I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to downplay it, but stab Gary Henry's character. And then Constance just goes beast mode on this guy in a kill that I don't think I've ever seen before. Have you ever seen someone put their hand down someone's throat to kill them? I mean,
no,
I've never seen anything. No. And first of all, bite down. That would be my first thing.
Here's the thing. Once you have, not that I have experience or anyone doing this to me, but I figured that once you you guys have, but you ever try and put something, I mean, not even as a young kid to be stupid in your mouth that was oversized where you're like, wow, and you're like, oh shit, I was almost broke my jaw on that. When it was a big piece of candy or a giant, big piece of food that you shouldn't have tried to take down and you wind up going, what? And you realize you couldn't chew it. And that's why you kind of pop it back out of your mouth. You can't bite down, I think, at a certain point when your jaw extends too high and something is really, there's no way to bite down. You know what I mean? You don't want to really choke yourself, but just think about, again, it's kind of, you would think, oh, it's obvious because her hand is going downwards. How's he going to bite upwards? You know what I'm saying? It was so awkward. And listen, we don't even have to get into all the dynamics of how the human body works or call a dentist and ask his opinion. It is a horror movie. It's fantasy and whatever. And it was a unique kill. But just to describe it for people, and obviously they used prosthetic in this. I read about, and it's part of the little docudrama that you could probably find on YouTube, by the way. When she put her hand down, she put her hand all the way down, which she literally was ripping out his tonsils. You know what I mean? Or like, I think she had gone down to the point of, you kind of saw her fist in his gullet, like his Adam's apple area, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, choke him to death, but literally, I think was squeezing his back throat muscles or whatever. But I think once you have something embedded down into your throat, you're not going to be able to get any breath in. So you're going to die of,
asphyxiation.
Asphyxiation. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and a positive on this one is like a skinny lady, small hands, easier to get in there, and then you get up to the arm, can't bite. I mean, yeah, That's actually kind of awesome. I don't know, but she fought me. She jumped on, when Warren was on the ground and she jumped on him and like fought him and everything. I mean, it was badass. It was real fucking cool.
She was fighting for her life. Absolutely.
Real cool. Well, Warren, I mean, I don't know how bad he got stabbed because, in this movie, there's both twins are killed. The makeout couple's killed. Guy pushed off a cliff and the guy in the beginning. So there's 6 deaths for sure. I don't know if Warren didn't die after this. Like, the camera pans over to the nice sun coming up and the trees. I'm not sure if he's not dead by the end of this.
I'm reading right now they were going to go with a romantic angle between George Kennedy and the horse, but they thought it was inappropriate. It was inappropriate.
people didn't want to see George Kennedy.
Do you remember with the horse? He was being almost romantic with it.
He was
come on, girl. Come on, my girl.
How many people do you think go past his ranger station? Not he's like, I gotta find companionship where I can.
If you remember when he first saw him, he was trimming flowers. You remember, like he was in like a little makeshift thing with the plants. Like that's why I didn't know he was a cop. I thought he was like a ranger. I thought he was just like an old man who was, looking at, he was a nature guy or something like that. Just an old man on the hill, Well,
there is to be fair, there is a very old man on the hill and an entire kind of inbred backstory. There's always an inbred backstory.
I just didn't
always.
And let's also take it a little bit. There was a young sister who was normal, right? Shades of Hills Have Eyes. Remember with the girl who was kind of, she wasn't really normal. She was kind of like a half woman, half animal, but she was at least non-threatening. So they had a normal girl and they went to this cabin and you realize that it was some abusive household with 2 backwoods parents. And that's where the 2 brothers were. These were the brothers of this young girl. Correct me if I'm wrong. The girl was normal looking, right? The young girl?
More so. Yeah, more so.
She was kind of like a young, but that was, you guys, again, do you not then believe that maybe he did see The Hills Have Eyes and that was their version of the girl with the 2 maniac brothers and the girl?
The guy said he hadn't seen it, but that part is so similar. That part, that's the part where I was like, okay,
you're right, dude. You're right.
Pretty damn close. Close.
You might be right. And in Deliverance, there was no young girl. There was no girl in Deliverance.
No. Yeah, they replaced the squeal with the whistle, but pretty similar.
Yeah, well, let's specify there was no sex in this movie at all, right? I mean, the couples were getting it on, but there was no that kind of hillbilly prison sex going on.
Yeah, there's no rape.
The 2 brothers didn't do anything sexual to anybody. It wasn't that kind of perverse.
Well, the one guy grabbed the girl under the water. That wasn't great.
He did. I'll say this. I had to go back and watch that a couple of times. Again, if you blink, you miss it. So people look for it. Watch the girl when she's in the water. Now keep your eye on the waterfall and you will see a large man very quickly walk into the waterfall and start to make his way wading in the water. But again, if you even turned around and you're watching with Nate and you said, Nate, do me a favor, pass me a soda, you would miss it. You would both would totally miss it. You would
that and jumping on the camper, same thing.
And jumping on the camper, the same thing. So I'll give Lieberman good props on the little almost like little Easter eggs of you're seeing the killer in advance. Not so surprise. If you're really paying attention, you're seeing him coming upon them, and they're just not paying attention. Might I say it one more time? They did not understand the warning. They did not understand the movie. That's the whole problem.
My one qualm with that is you're saying it with entirely too much emotion. But other than that,
because I want people to know that yes, it is a low budget movie per se. It's not like a POS low budget movie. It's not a piece of shit, but it's not one of the best. And yes, it's capitalizing on a craze. 1981 slash movies were popular. Why wasn't this more popular? Probably. Again, I think also, let's be honest, I don't know if the killers, there's not going to be a Just Before Dawn 2. I don't even remember the names of the killers. Did they have a name, the brothers, the Hillbilly Brothers?
They have the names from one of the earlier versions of the story.
The Mountain Twins.
They're the Mountain Twins, but their names were
Luther and Lucas.
Yeah, Luther and Lucas, Logan.
Okay, but then like that wasn't really emphasized. Like, look, Leatherface, Jigsaw, everyone's got a name. That's another problem too. That was like it could have just been random guys. They were both played by the same actor, John Hunsaker. I saw John Hunsaker do an interview a few years ago. He actually, I think, has a podcast. He's nice. There's a horror podcast. He's still a big, heavy guy.
Is it just After Dawn?
No, it's called it's called Understand the Warning with John Hunsaker. That's what it's called. And
it's infinity episodes, and they never get it. And
I think John Hunsaker was playing guitar or something. And I think he's kind of like kind of a hippy dippy type of guy.
Now, do you think this movie would have been bigger if what had potentially happened was Richard Kiel was the killer? The dual killer instead. What do you think? That's
what I'm saying. Now, even looking at the guy now, like if you look at the poster, I'm looking at the original poster. Pretty cool, big, wide, but we'll probably let's give him 50 more pounds, like 350 pounds guy with a bloody sword. You can't make out like what his face looks. Is he wearing a mask? Is he deformed? Is he distorted? It's a pretty sick looking poster. It's very Grindhouse. If you guys look at the movie poster, right? Very Grindhouse.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think, at least in Hills Have Eyes, Pluto, Papa Jupe, all these planet names. There was a cult family, but here there was no connection. Again, they didn't show the parents. They showed the girl for a little bit, go into the cabin, hearing yelling and screaming. She's from wait a minute. Are these twins, these challenged twins, part of this crazy family that lives in the woods? We didn't get to see them. Maybe perhaps if they showed the mother and father, but then maybe that would have been a little bit too Texas Chainsaw. Then they would have had to admit that they were influenced by Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right, sure.
See, because Deliverance, when you guys think about it, I mean, I'm sure you've seen Deliverance. They were backwoods, disgusting, perverse hillbilly guys, but basically they were hunters. They were guys who go out there and hunt. They just stumbled upon some, city slickers out in their territory and took advantage of them in their perverse, gross way. But what those two guys really were hunters. You know what I mean? They weren't monsters out, roaming like half man, half beast. They were hunters. But here, like these backwoods kids, they just lived in a cabin. Now, what I'm thinking is the family moved up there because they were so rejected by society. See, I'm getting too deep with this. They were so rejected. These two poor boys, these two big, obese, challenged boys were so rejected by society. The parents had to uproot and move to the mountains because that's the only way they'd be accepted in society, be away from people. And that's why the mother and father were always yelling and arguing with each other, because they hated their miserable lives, because the two people they spawned forced them into seclusion in the wilderness. Am I doing good, guys?
That's usually my role, to make up random stuff to justify anything happening in the movie.
I'm so enthusiastic that I stole your role, but not on purpose.
I love it. No, I love that. That's good. Yeah, that's good. Although, didn't the twins kill the mother in childbirth, and then the dad had sex with the other daughter to then have
maybe it wasn't.
Daughter?
Yeah. So okay. So let's scratch that. The mother, the father was so ashamed of that the mother lost her life and was so resentful of the boys, he pulled them out of society, and he took the whole downtrodden family up to the wilderness. This is the only life they know. Only made the father delve more into his alcoholism and bitterness, and continue to mistreat the family while having sex with the sister, and for some reason keeping the family roots going.
There you go. I love it. Yeah.
It'll be in the book. It'll be in the book.
That's the prequel movie is that mountain dad. That's the mountain family. That's the origins. That's the origins.
It's far from Swiss Family Robinson, but it's something.
I'm looking forward to like the real, like in that origins movie, like there's like an ultrasound that happens, and then the doctor runs out of the room, like before the people even see the ultrasound.
The doctor did not understand the ultrasound.
No, he did. He got the hell out of there. Yeah, that would be good. I don't know. The backstory of the family isn't delve into it too much. It's just enough. I don't know. They're kind of ancillary to the whole thing, to be honest.
Well, he's maybe one day, Jeff Lieberman is still alive and well. He's only 68 years old. He was in his late 20s when he did this movie, almost barely 30. So
just after dawn.
Maybe we can have him on the show and I can come back on and we can really grill him and maybe we can even convince him to redo this.
He rewrote the entire movie, so it's basically all on him at that point. He should be able to answer it. Yeah,
it is all on him, and we can maybe get a key grip job on the new film or something. It'd be great.
I'm local. I'm local talent,
dude. You can scout location. That'd be awesome.
That would be sweet. I don't know if Oregon has much of a film industry. I will say that the Silver Falls State Park has had 2 other movies in it. William Friedkin's The Buried and Twilight.
Right.
So there you go. Yeah. So there you go.
And Twilight really probably put it much more on the map than Just Before Dawn did. Right?
Wasn't the Wendigo movie we watched filmed out there too, or was
in that specific park? Sorry, in that specific park. That's those 2 things.
I'm looking at pictures of it now online. It really looks really nice. I mean, it's a real
it's a great park. It's a
beautiful
park.
Park. Yeah, are there a lot of wildlife around there? Is there a lot of bears there?
I don't know about bears. That's a good question.
I'm wondering, but it's a safe family environment. Like it's not a hunting ground for
not according to this
movie.
No,
yeah. There's all kinds of trails and stuff. Yeah. So key fact to know: if you're on a mountain and a bear's chasing you, you run downhill diagonally. They can't do that.
Dude, how awesome would that be? Like you're camping there, and all of a sudden you hear.
Yeah. Yeah,
that would be awesome. You immediately call
downhill diagonally. I'm running downhill diagonally. No,
can you patch him in and we do a special podcast while he's running for his life? That'd be
awesome. So what's your motivation? Yep, got it.
All right. My God, that'd be great.
All right, Mitch. Well, on that note, anything else to add?
No, we need to get into it. What's y'all's final cut?
Final cut.
Nate, this is in your backwoods here. You're right there. I'm curious. Why don't you set the stage? What score are you going to give this movie?
Yeah, so I mean, it's in Oregon, so plus side there. But no, these are the films that are interesting because the normal films, the standard films, we've seen too many of them, Mitch. Yeah. There's just too many. I want something a little different. This one's a little different. Now, I will say some of the acting was absolutely egregious. It was
not the best acting. Okay.
Even for like terrible, teens, college kids, it got a little annoying. So a little bit down on that. That being said, score, great. Cinematography, great. The setting itself was great. More people should do it. There should be more movies in the Pacific Northwest for sure. We reviewed last year Antlers, and
did you guys like that?
I liked it a little bit more personally. So the creature was great. The area, the atmosphere was great, and there were other things that were less great. But the atmosphere, Pacific Northwest, mountains, woods, everything about that seems to be pretty solid in film. So I think more movies should do that. The ending is incredibly good. The ending, it's kind of abrupt, to be honest. It's abrupt, and yet they just linger on those last shots for some reason. We didn't even mention she puts on the makeup in between the escape and then getting attacked again. And that was a weird touch, but kind of awesome. So I liked it quite a bit. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 rope bridges. It was good.
Okay.
I liked it a lot.
7 out of 10 rope bridges. All right. Kev, I'm curious. I mean, I know you're certainly a fan.
You recommended this to us 2 years ago. We finally got around to it.
We finally got around to watching it.
Clearly you like it.
Yeah. But. So yeah, what would you give this out of 10?
Out of 10, I would give it a 7. I mean, I'm building it up, and I got to be honest. I'm having a little bit of fun, but I personally love the film. I don't know if everybody else is going to love it. I love the atmosphere. Cinematography was fantastic. Location, all that stuff, all good. Waterfall scenes, the little, like I even call them Easter egg views of the killer that you got to keep your eyes sharp. Don't get a drink. Don't sneeze. Don't cough. You'll miss two major things as the killers are coming upon these campers. You could see it coming. They don't see it coming, but you could see it coming. I thought that was really eerie, by the way, in the lake, because he had to be underwater for a pretty long time, but they had to keep reshooting it with him being under there. And you see him walking there, going down, down, down till he goes down. And how do you keep that wool hat on in the water, by the way? That's interesting. I have tried to swim with a wool hat on. So has my brother. It just does not work. But I liked the score. I like the synth stuff, the whistle and stuff like that. I swear to God, I still do it by habit today. When I'm going down the aisle in a store, I'm doing it to myself. And I've done it in my friend's car. He's like, "What is that? Is it a song?" I'm like, "No, Just Before Dawn." I love the title, Just Before Dawn. Right? Good name for like an album too, for like a metal band, right? Just Before Dawn. Great name. The movie was short and sweet. What was it? What was the running time, guys? I know you usually do the running time. Was it about 90 minutes?
So it was 90 minutes. I actually watched the director's cut, which is
nice.
Okay. Extra 10 minutes on it.
Yes. With some of the kills, a little bit more involved with the kills, right?
Yeah, a little bit more dialogue. It didn't add a whole lot, to be honest, I don't think, but worth a shot.
I did not like the acting. I didn't care for the actors. And when they got killed, I felt no sadness. I like the heroine woman in the end, even though the guy on the floor crying was acting like the heroine. Woman saves the day. That's a little ahead of its time, right? A woman hero in a horror movie, not someone who usually gets killed and is a damsel in distress. She fought tooth and nail this dude. Nice. It was a good fight scene. Literally, it was a fight. Yeah, it was. It
was reminiscent. At the end, she's clearly like, okay, my brain is broken for who knows how long. It kind of called back a little bit to the laughter, obviously, of Sally at the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but with the caveat that she did the fighting too, right? So it's a whole extra level. So that's where it was pretty crazy and a little different, and probably like 2 or 3 of my 7 points out of that was that pretty different from the movies of the time, for sure.
Yeah, and the killers, the Mountain twins, Lucas and Haas. I don't know.
Logan,
and Logan.
Or Logan's the last name. Oh God, it's a lot of alliteration.
Yeah.
Luther.
Again, sizable, heavy set, mentally challenged guys who are like, I think their eyebrows are drawn on. They just look, they look like, like just giant man babies is the best way to describe their look, guys.
Yeah, and I would say eyebrow instead of eyebrows. I think it was the world's largest universe.
Almost like Groucho Marx, old school
exactly.
reference there. Yeah. If you guys remember, and even people listening, if some of you younger dudes and ladies who are listening, if you ever seen the old school when Bank Robbins put on the mask with the big nose and the big eyebrows, that's what it looked like. But a real high forehead and clearly a very bad hairline when you finally saw them without the hat.
Yes.
That's why they were wearing the wool hat, by the way, to hide baldness was something to be ashamed of in 1980, by the way. Now, then Steve Austin changed the game in 1997. But unfortunately, they couldn't get the good head shave look. Probably not a good razor out there.
That was the age of the hair metal bands, right?
They weren't that scary, to be honest with you. Look, I'm 5'9", 240. I probably wouldn't have been scared. Like if they were coming out, I would have fought them. Like I wouldn't have been like, oh my God, run, these huge guys. I didn't see them as that, and not even because the girl took them on, but I didn't see them as that big and intimidating. They look like giant babies with big eyebrows. You know what I mean? So I wasn't like Leatherface would have freaked me the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain killer, like obviously the Burning, the Cropsey. I mean, the guy's faces melted off. These two, I would have been like, what the fuck? What the fuck am I? Are these guys? So I mean, it wasn't anything that was scary. It was. How about this? They were disturbing looking, but not scary. How about that?
Yeah. I agree.
And the great scene, the climax with her with the fist down the throat, and of course, then you saw the prosthetic at some point where
I know, but the fist down the throat, and she bit him. There's blood on her mouth. Oh God, good.
Yeah, she got she turned very primal. Very primal in the end, fighting, basically fight to survive, as the slogan goes. And she took him out, man. She took that bad boy out. So a good ending. I would, again, a solid 7. And then listen, on a scale of 1 to 10, a 7's not bad. It's passing. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. All right, Mitch, what do you got?
Well, I don't know that I was as high on this one as y'all.
Bring it down.
I know.
Is it better than Santa Jaws? That's the question.
Well, we'll find out.
Oh, God.
What did I give Santa Jaws? 6. I really need to adjust my scale.
You gave it a 4.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Then I feel better about where I think I'm going to land on this one. No, first off, if we're going to rate this as a park infomercial, like a Visit Portland, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Visit Oregon.
And I think you're right, Nate. Every horror movie that we've watched that takes place in the Northwest, man, they're all, the atmosphere is great in all of them because clearly that's the main character. But some of the other elements of the movie are rough. I don't know. I think I would have maybe enjoyed if someone would have taken they brought in this deed thing and they kept saying like, no, I own this land.
Yeah. Why were they? There's a guy pointing a gun at him who's clearly like never spoken to another person in like a decade. And they're like, I have this deed. Like, what?
Yeah. What land were you trying to claim? I was really confused about.
Yeah. Let's get a person here to do a quick census of what's going on. What is happening? What's happening?
Like I was just confused. Like just let him go camping. Like I don't know why there's this convoluted. Like no. This is like my grandfather's land that we've inherited now.
No, actually, yeah. I got a recent survey done, and I own the land just inside your cabin. What is happening right now? Who gives a shit?
Hey, weird family I just ran across. Y'all are on my property line.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, okay, so it's me and a bunch of 20-somethings camping, right?
Yeah.
Some old random dude. Okay, first thing is we don't understand. Okay, we don't even understand. We don't understand. But a ranger who's out of shape has told us not to go there. Okay, then mysterious things are happening here and there. People's legs getting grabbed and whatnot. Then a creepy old dude who's like, this side of Deliverance points a gun at me and tells me to leave. And a drunk guy says there's devils around. I don't know. That's a lot. That's a lot not to turn back. I would be turning back pretty, like that would have been the last straw for me. Like guy pointing a gun right at me. I don't know. I'm out of there. What's right? Yeah. I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know.
I think ultimately,
I'm gonna knock the movie down to a 6 just for that. Sorry, I'm gonna go down 1 point.
All right, I'm talking y'all down. No,
you're talking me down the mountain.
I mean, if I'm being serious though, like I think my problem, maybe the director hadn't seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre or any of those other movies, but I have. And it was just really hard to kind of get into some of this. I think the ending really saved it. That final scene really makes the difference. And even the rope bridge scene is good, but I think I enjoyed it because it's
rope bridge.
Yeah, but
did Indiana Jones just, like try taking shit? But like, what's going on? I'm trying to remember.
I don't think you're being accurate because it's not the death by rope bridge. It's death by getting like 80s bully foot in the face kick off like a fucking Christmas Story with Santa kicking him down the slide.
Think of it this way. The guy got dropped by a rope bridge, couldn't swim, grabbed it again, climbed all the way up, and then died by the rope bridge like on the second attempt. Even more incredible.
Look, I thought I just enjoyed the foot in the face. Just no, you go back down again. That was just chef's kiss. Yeah, I think it just took too long in between the very first kill and by the time like something interesting really kind of happened. There's like a good, it's almost an hour, I think, almost run time before any of them are in any real sort of like true peril.
Yeah, there was a big gap between that first kill in that church and the car explosion, I guess, that was triggered by, kind of an ingenious little setup too, to be honest.
And there's a few jump scares and stuff, but nothing. I mean, I think it was just kind of a little slower pace. So I do think this is one of those ones that if you are a fan of slashers and particularly of 70s horror films, I think you will like it. I think if you're a more casual horror fan or particularly like an unsuspecting victim, this movie is probably not going to do a whole lot for you. With that said, I think I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10. I don't know, throat punches.
5 out of 10.
Yeah, 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
All right, that's all right.
I didn't.
5 out of 10 fists.
I like it. Yeah, right.
Fist of Fury.
Fist of Fury. I like it. I didn't hate it. It was just it was okay. It was just
This is what I got to deal with all the time, Kevin. You know, you get a classic film, and then Mitch just tears it apart.
It's no Puppet Master. Is all I'm saying.
God damn it. We have Kevin, we're going to have a whole puppet month because of this guy. Right? It's going to be, there's a month of just puppet movies because of this dude. So
because of this dude,
take anything that happens with a grain of salt.
That's true. Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, again, it's opinions vary, as the late great Patrick Swayze said in Roadhouse. Opinions vary. And I've used that GIF many times, guys, recent days, by the way. It's an acquired taste, but if you like slasher films, you like them kind of a little grimy, a little kind of old school, a little dark and mysterious, nice setting, a little mystery to it, even though, spoilers revealed tonight. But again, sorry, the movie's 42 years old at this point, 41 years old. I think you'll enjoy it. I think it's not a waste. Here's the thing. You have to take a chance with stuff. I always, that's an hour and a half of my life I'll never get back. What a waste of time. In life, that's going to happen, and if you can waste your life on far worse things than watching Just Before Dawn. So I'm curious to see if you guys get some feedback on it, whether it's a lot or a little. I'm curious to see what people say about it who take a watch based on what we talked about today. I'd definitely be interested in seeing the feedback.
Yeah, like I said, I definitely think people who are really into slashers in particular are going to really like this film. Casuals were, I think, probably. Maybe.
That's why our last episode was Blade Trinity. So we're set.
Jesus.
We're trying to hit all the different.
Look, and who knows, guys? Maybe I just didn't like the kids. Maybe I just didn't understand the warning.
You didn't get the warning.
I didn't get the warning. Let me. With that said, Nate, where can they find us?
You can find us as always at TX Pod Massacre on Twitter, Texas Podcast Massacre everywhere else. Look, give us an email, texaspodcastmassacre@gmail.com. Give us a 5-star review on all your, I guess, all of your podcast platforms. If it's one where you can't give a review that you watch it on, just send us an email at the email address specified, and we'll put your movie on the list. We've put a lot of bad movies on the list. Never forget Deadly Detention. Never forget.
As much as I try. Can't.
Never forget
Deadly Detention.
Yeah, it was. What was it? That's a great question. It was an existential question you didn't think you were asking. No one knows what it is, unfortunately. We did Gretel and Hansel, Mitch's favorite movie of all time, from a review. We did I Saw the Devil from Lisa.
Gretel and Hansel, they mix it up.
They mix it up. This one, it's Mitch's favorite movie. You should ask him about it.
Oh,
that sounds as interesting as the Kevin Castle and Don Tony show. I like it. Just a little joke there. But I never heard of Gretel and Hansel.
It's more artsy.
They tried to make an art horror film on the Hansel and Gretel story. It's real terrible. It makes me mad.
Is it Leprechaun Legacy terrible?
Oh,
Origins.
I like. Leprechaun? So, as a person who's seen every Leprechaun movie multiple times, Origins? I will say Gretel and Hansel is probably better than Leprechaun Origins.
Wow,
I will say that. I will say that.
Okay,
for me, not for Mitch. It would take a lot for Mitch to do that. We should do Leprechaun Origins next time. Anyway, Ginger. Thanks, Kev, for the assist on that one. Ginger Dead Man 2, Passion of the Crust. These are all requests. We'll do anything. We even did the Poughkeepsie tapes, and Lisa mostly watched it. So give us your 5-star reviews. Give us a call, 346-246-3143. Mitch is still waiting for the challenge from the person who requested Gretel and Hansel. Waiting for them to call in and identify themselves.
One person who actually enjoyed this movie, besides Nate's contrarian ass over here, someone who actually enjoyed this film in real life. I want you to defend this movie.
Defend it. This is going to be like a debate. We could do it. We could do a podcast debate.
It'll be a special.
I'll be the moderator, and I'll be as impartial as a WWE referee. and it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. It'll be great.
It'll be Shawn Michaels to my Undertaker versus Bret Hart. Is that what we're?
I don't know what's happening. I don't know.
I know you don't. I'm just throwing the wrestling names out. You know Bret Hart, right? I mean, come on, man.
Bret the Hitman Hart. I do know that. I know that one. All right. Who's the one that? Oh, that's Owen Hart. I was thinking of Owen Hart. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway, on that, I got to bring it down every single time. Every time, got to bring it down this episode. Kev, yeah, thanks for coming and talking just before dawn. I think we're gonna probably have to do a 70s animal theme month, and I feel like you would be quite a guest for that.
And I was around back then, so there you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of it, guys.
Well, no, you can't control that, but you can control if you go see Orca in the theater, and that's
Orca. Orca was an awesome.
I'm debating. There's so many animal ones. There's probably going to be a debate on which one, but we'll definitely.
When Orca wound up in the living room of that fishing village, that was awesome. Like, I mean, but you know, it's funny. Orca was just too lovable to hate. That's why that they really get over. People love
exactly. Yeah, love exactly.
What are they called? Killer whales. Yeah.
Yeah,
they're called killer whales, but they're killer whales with big hearts.
Yeah, and Free Willy filmed in Oregon. There you go.
Free Willy should have been a horror film.
Yes, I agree with that.
The at the jump, the orca should have eaten the boy. That would have been the end of the film. Incredible. Don't fuck with nature.
That would have been awesome. And they should have had a trailer that says, and they didn't understand the warning. They went too close to the killer whales. They didn't understand the warning.
We're going to apologize for all of Kev's podcast next week, where he didn't understand the warning in every episode.
I'm going to somehow incorporate. I'm going to incorporate that into my Castle Chronicles tomorrow.
Make that a drinking game for you folks at home.
Yeah, there you go.
Get a whole for the next week. Just listen every time Kev mentions it. Any podcast he's in, they understand the warning.
And I'll give a shout out and a nod to you guys every time I do it. But I'll say this: I now understand what the problem was. They didn't understand the warning because George didn't fucking specify anything.
Yeah, that's the problem. No one.
He was too busy loving his horse. He was too busy loving his horse.
No one in this movie could explain anything. There's a drunk guy, right? Drunk guy comes down.
Yeah.
Hey, I saw a person murder my friend.
Yep.
Okay. Demons. I smell like gin, and I'm saying the word demons. No one cares.
By the way,
George Kennedy, everybody. No one can explain anything.
Who did that drunk guy remind you guys of? Remember the drunk guy on the bicycle in the original Friday the 13th?
Ah, nice.
Yeah. Remember, you're doomed. You're all doomed. Remember that?
Yeah.
Then I think Jeff's got to come clean and say he saw some movies and ripped them off. I think let's have him on the show and grill him.
That's like that friend. That's like that friend of yours is always like, "Oh, I don't watch TV. I just don't watch TV." But they're like, they know everything that's happening in every show. Like, oh yeah, no, I don't have any time to watch.
I'm not a Hulk Hogan fan, dude. You have 10 Hulkamania shirts. Right. I got him as gifts. I don't know where I got them.
Listen here, brother.
Listen here, look, brother. Dude, you grew a handlebar mustache at 8. Come on.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's because he liked that Three Ninjas movie. Don't worry about it.
Oh, good Lord.
I was gonna say Gremlins, the Gremlins 2.
No, what was that? What was the terrible movie Hogan saw? Mr. Nanny. Oh God.
Oh yeah, Mr. Nanny. Oh, I was gonna say Rocky. Rocky 3.
Oh no,
how dare you?
Yeah, that wasn't that.
How dare you?
How weird is it to see Stallone as like a guy near 80, like a senior citizen, right? He still looks okay, but he's I think he's shrinking. He's
taking enough HGH. He's like a 65-year-old.
No, it's true. Well, that's the whole thing. Like, yeah, if they don't show a headshot, they have a body of like a 45-year-old, but then they do the headshot. You're like, oh, it's an old guy. You know what I mean?
Well, when he filmed that Rambo movie, what's it like 2008-ish or whatever? Yeah. He got like stopped at customs because he had HGH in his like bag.
Oh, did he really? Wow.
Yeah, like for real.
Wow.
So he's probably doing okay, body wise. I don't know about
he clearly
his nervous system.
He didn't understand the warning. He just didn't understand the warning.
When you go to, I've traveled to like Malaysia and Singapore and Thailand, like a couple other places in Southeast Asia. When you travel there, in your passport, when you stamp in, they put a little note in there with a skull and crossbones that says like, if you smuggle drugs in, you can get the death penalty.
Oh God.
So you understand the warning hard when you go in this. Yes, you do.
Well, wasn't Singapore? I mean, you guys are too young maybe to remember, but it was about maybe 20 years ago where they caned that guy.
No, caning is extremely common.
They still do the caning?
Still do it.
Oh, okay.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, not so much to foreigners after that, but yeah, internally in Singapore, yes, absolutely.
Jesus, God, it's the last thing I want as a caning.
Yeah,
I just don't want that.
It's a very like sterile place. You can't chew gum without a prescription.
Yeah, you can't. I don't think you can spit in public, right? I don't think you can spit in public.
No, you can't do a lot. Actually, if you don't wash your hands, I think it's illegal after you go to the bathroom.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that. You should be caned for that.
Yep, there you go. All right, so maybe a podcast on location, Singapore. So there you go.
Oh, that would be great. That would be wonderful.
Jesus. Well, take your pick. Go into those very scenic northwestern mountains and potentially get killed by mountain twins, or get caned in Singapore. Either way, whichever. Kevin, again, thank you so much for joining. We'll have to bring you back in sooner than a year from the last time. So
yeah, guys, I ain't getting any younger. So I wouldn't. You see the stress I go through online, defending the defenders of the faith over here, me defending the fam. But that's all to do. And in the end, it's all to do about nothing. Again, this is so much more enjoyable. I needed the escapism tonight from that nonsense. So thank you for providing it for me.
Oh, happy to do it. So yeah, we'll have you back very soon. Apparently for Nate's next excuse to not watch a Puppet Master film.
I just want look, misery loves company. So that's really what I'm all about for the puppet movies.
Oh my God.
Too many puppets, too much time. It's both, unfortunately.
All strings attached. With that said, from all of us here at Texas Podcast Massacre, thank you so much for tuning in, and just keep telling yourself it's only a movie. Good night.